Welcome, all pregnant families, midwives, or birth workers. This is Tracy Anderson Askew, your host for the Transform Your Birth podcast, changing your mind about birth one story at a time. Each week, we will be exploring a birth story through the lens of what birth can teach us. I'll be digging deep into each story so you can learn what it is that can change the way a birth unfolds. We can't control birth, but we can influence it. So listen in to find out how. Enjoy. Jocelyn didn't prepare for her first baby, and so for her second birth, she knew she wanted to do things differently. She did the Transform Your Birth course and used the practices to have a completely different experience. For her third birth, once again, she did the practices. She was able to get into the continuity program with her own midwife, and after a short labour, experienced a beautiful water birth. Jocelyn's birth teaches us that with a few key ingredients like preparation, continuity, a partner who knows what they're doing, and some great tools for comfort, we can create the optimal conditions for birth to progress in the way nature intended. I think you'll really enjoy this episode.
Before we begin, a note from our sponsor. This episode has been brought to you by Transform Parenting, an organisation that provides courses, coaching and community from pregnancy through to the first 7 years of a child's life. Most of the stories you will hear through this podcast are graduates of the Transform Your Birth workshop held in Canberra. Our Transform Your Birth Today course is now available to anyone, anywhere, at any time, and includes all the wonderful wisdom of this course and live weekly catch-ups when you need it with our host, Tracy. For a little taste, please accept our pregnancy gift offer, which contains free the first few lessons and some essential wisdom for pregnancy. The link can be found in these show notes or visit transformyourbirth.com.au. And now for the episode.
Hi everyone. I have another wonderful story for you this week, and with me is lovely Joss. And Joss has been on the podcast before, and now she's given birth to her third baby, little Gus, who's 9 weeks old. Welcome to the podcast, Joss.
Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, it's good. We love getting return families because every baby you have is a bit of a journey, isn't it? And doesn't matter how many babies you have, never do we feel when we're going into birth that I've mastered childbirth. Even me having my fourth baby with all the experience and knowledge I had, I just knew I was about to take a walk on the wild side again and walk into what I call the mystery, because you just don't know what's going to happen. So, Joss, how were you feeling about being pregnant with baby number 3, and what sort of prep did you do?
Baby number 3 was a bit of a surprise. We thought we were done after Billy. So it was a bit of a different pregnancy, just in the sense of I guess I connected with it as much, but I was very excited and we wanted him very badly.
Yeah.
Prep-wise was leaning into a lot of what I did in your class leading with Billy. So a lot of the breath work and focusing on that type of thing, just letting my body do its thing. I wasn't as nervous or scared this time after 2 very different births with the others. I knew that it is what it is, but that I could do it. Billy's birth showed me that. So yeah, a lot of breath work, a lot of meditation, those type of things.
Yeah. Those practices are very powerful because what they're doing is they're helping your subconscious mind to get online. They're really brainwashing you. I like to use the word brainwashing, but in a positive sense, into believing in yourself. But they're also giving you the opportunity to go into deeper and deeper states of relaxation. And when we go into deep states of relaxation, we're essentially optimizing our physiological response to birth. So the deeper we go, the more we can release those feel-good hormones, performance-enhancing hormones, and stay away from, cortisol and adrenaline and all of those things that can really hijack a labour. Now, I'm just a bit curious, Joss, because were you aware in your pregnancy, you knew you could do it, but were you aware of any fears or doubts?
I always feel like what could go wrong is always there in the back, but I tried to focus on the positive. Billy came so quickly and I'm medicated that I knew that I could do it, so I was trying to focus on that side of things. But in the same sense, I knew what I wanted. I knew I wanted to be in the pool. I wanted to hopefully that was my aim, because that was the same with Billy. I was trying to focus on doing all those little bits and pieces so that I could have the birth I wanted. I had a good team on board. I had different birth techniques like ready to go. I had my comb and my massage ball and all of that. So I was trying to do little preppy things that would focus on the positives rather than letting the fear come into the what could go wrong, because I knew that if something needed to happen, that I had the right team behind me to help.
Yeah, nice. So tell us what happened on the day. How did it unfold?
Well, I was being my third. I had a lot of Braxton Hicks from probably about 30 weeks. So things were happening. And then a couple of weeks before he came, I was definitely starting to already get a little bit of the period cramping and very on and off, nothing consistent. So the Monday he was born on a Saturday, the Monday beforehand, I actually had a bit of reduced fetal movement. So I thought, I went in to get checked, obviously. And while I was there, Lindsay, my midwife, offered if I wanted a stretch and sweep. And I thought, yeah, let's do it. I've been having this. And I was also kind of curious to see where I was at this time around.
Yeah.
And I was already a 3. So that made me really happy and confident that I was like, okay, cool. Stuff's been happening these past few weeks. So I haven't just been annoyed at cramping.
It's actually doing something. It's
yes.
a relief.
And then we discussed that she would come and see me again on Friday if nothing had happened, because I got into the continuity program this time, which was really, really good.
Lovely.
So Friday night, she came past at 5 and did another sweep just to check. And I was at a 4, but could be possibly closer to a 5. So we knew things were going to start hopefully soon. I didn't really think much of it. We did the sweep and said hopefully we'll see her before Sunday, because she was going to have Monday, Tuesday off and didn't want that to happen. That night I kind of woke up. I think I woke up once to a cramp, but nothing crazy, just a bit of, that was uncomfortable, and managed to go back to sleep. And in the morning, my mum she lives with us, so she got up with our older 2 to let us have a bit of a sleep on the Saturday. So I got up about 8:30 and was fine, just playing with the kids. And then about 9 o'clock I went, that's something. That's cool. Just let it go. I let it go for a little bit. But I was like, I might check. I might, track these, just because Billy's birth was so fast.
Yeah.
I wanted to have a bit of an idea of where I was at and if things were happening faster than I thought. And for about 3 hours, I was sitting at about 10 minutes apart, but they were very, very manageable. Just that bit of tightening around the stomach, but could tell it was go day, which was nice. And then I think I got to about 12-ish and I thought, I better let Lindsay know that things are happening. So I actually had a midwife and I had a student midwife, Maddie, which was great. So I messaged both of them and said, this is where we're at. It's happening, but I'm still fine. I'm good at home, using the ball, playing with the kids. All those endorphins of being with the kids was really helping, I think. And we decided that if I got to about 6 to 7 minutes apart, I probably would head up just to get my space organised. And we expected things to hopefully go as quickly as they had before. But then at about 2:30, I had a shower and I got out and I had 2 that were about 20 minutes apart. I went, maybe it's not it. So we decided to go for a walk. It was a freezing cold day. It was kind of like this windy day that we're having now, but freezing cold. Yeah. So we decided to go for a walk at the shops because I didn't want to be all rugged up outside. And that helped. Walking around the shops, started to have bit more. I had to stop and actually breathe through them. And my husband's looking at me going, do we need to go? Like, what are we doing? Because we discussed what would happen if we had an emergency home birth or in the car. And he was like, no, let's get to the hospital.
He would have been a little bit anxious given your previous performance. What Jocelyn's talking about there is when you're upright and active, you're encouraging labour. It's the pressure of the baby's head on the cervix, and the more pressure, the more oxytocin it releases, and the more intense and stronger the contractions, and typically the shorter the labour. So when you have a nice, solid contractions, they tend to be working harder on opening that door. But when you need to rest in labour, and I often say, you don't know how long you're going to be in labour for. So it's an important thing to not spend too much energy in your early labour, because you might end up with a long labour. And so it's good to rest during labour. And when you either lie down or hop in the bath, that can slow labour down. So, but in your case, Joss, you were a tad bit untrustworthy. So I can imagine why your partner was feeling a little bit nervous about you being in a shopping centre.
Yeah, he wasn't that happy. He was fine. I was like, no, we're good. We got this.
Oh.
So we came home, and at that stage, I think it was about 4-ish, and I said to him, look, I just want to be in the room now. I'm just going to go into the bedroom on my wall. I'm just going to do some stuff in there. And he ended up baking cookies or something with the kids to keep them distracted.
Nice.
And the exercise ball was amazing for me this time, just moving my hips on it, and not the bouncing, just back and forth and stretching the hips out. And I tried to have a few contractions on the toilet as well with that shape and the way that the position that you're in.
Yeah.
And then it got to about 5:30, and I'd been having them probably about 5 to 6 minutes apart for about an hour. So Lindsay called me and just checked in, had a chat. I said, I'm still fine, but I think we are going to be coming up soon. I'd like to get to 6:30 so I can put Billy to bed. That was I didn't want to just leave her. Because, saying goodbye to the babies is always the hard part.
Yeah.
But if anything changes within the next hour, then I'll give you a call back and we'll head up. And at about, I think I checked my phone at about 6:03, I had a message to her saying, we're definitely leaving at 6:30. Like it's happening.
It's
Because
on.
they had started to get they were probably 3 to 4 minutes apart, and I was having to definitely breathe through them. Logan, my eldest, was trying to ask me some questions, and he's like, what are you doing, Mum? And I'm just breathing, talking to her. I was like, I can't chat to you right now, mate. So I put Billy to bed and cried a lot. My body was being nice to me. It gave me a 7-minute break to put her down and give her a good cuddle, and because she's still so little. And then I was trying to say the same to Logan, and he couldn't care less. He's like, no, he was going to watch a movie with Nana and have some snacks. So he just kind of looked at me and said, okay, yeah, can you help with the movie? All
So
right,
you
mate,
said you cried. Tell me more about that. What was going on?
Just knowing that she wasn't going to be the baby anymore.
Oh,
It was the same when I left Logan to have Billy. I'm so excited for you to be big sister, but you're my baby. You're little. And now I'm changing your whole world, and you have no idea what's about to happen.
Yeah. Wow.
She was only 20 months, so not something you can really discuss with a baby. Yeah. So we jumped in the car, and they were about 7 minutes apart again. So I was thinking, oh no, what have we done? And we got to the hospital at 7, and I said to Lindsay and Maddie, I said, they're apart now. Like, they both said, no, you've had a big hormone shift, saying goodbye to the kids with and crying and everything, and a change of location. Give us some time. We're going to set you up in the room, and then we're going to leave you to it. So my birth photographer arrived, because with Billy's, both my student midwife and my birth photographer missed it, so we were quick to get her there this time. And they spent about 20 minutes just doing the check-ins, like my blood pressure, just checked baby's heart rate and setting up the room. They put some affirmations up, helped put my candles and my fairy lights around, and left, and they were right. It started to ramp up again, which was great.
The conditions and the environment that a woman labours in has quite an impact on how birth unfolds. And it's quite normal for when people make that transition from home to hospital for the contractions to ease off a little bit, because you can get a little bit of adrenaline, or it's just a change. And we're the only animals that move when we're in labour, and we do it because for most women, they feel safer in a hospital. Some women choose to birth at home, but that interference can actually cause your contractions to ease off or just stop for a little while. And it sounds like you were second guessing yourself, Joss.
Yes, a little bit.
Yeah.
I knew it was still happening, but I thought, did we come in too early?
Yeah, right.
So I was sitting on the ball, and for all of my labors, Brad, my husband, doing the counter pressure on my hips has been amazing. So he knew that it was go time once I started asking him for that. And I was leaning against the bed on the ball. He was squeezing my hips, and I had my comb in my hand. I did that for about half an hour before I said, no, I want to get in the bath. Like, I need the water.
Yeah.
So that was at about 8 o'clock, and they came in and got the bath. It was half ready, so they got it ready so that I could actually get in. And that was so nice sitting in the bath. It doesn't take away the pain, I guess, but it felt really, really nice just to be in the water and floating.
Yeah.
And I was able to kind of relax between them.
We call a bath the epidural without the side effects.
Yes.
And
it was great.
The hip squeeze is it's coming in from the side. There's two spaces, one into the buttock, right into your glute, or the other one, your pelvic girdle where the bone is, and you come in from the side and you squeeze a woman's hip or massage into that tension. And what it does is it releases tension in the hips, and it also, the uterus is connected to it, so it can support the birth as well, and give women a lot of comfort. When you think back to your sensations, Joss, how were you experiencing them, and how would you describe them?
They were all very much in my front, and it felt just like my stomach was getting really, really tight and moving down. Like I could feel it all happening going downwards.
Yeah.
So when he squeezed my hips, it just like counter pressure, just was an amazing feeling just to be like, okay, that's fine. I can do this now. You're helping. You're doing your part.
Yeah, nice.
It didn't feel as tight.
And what sort of benefit did the comb give you?
Just a different focus point. I like to be able to focus on something else, and the pressure points in the hand of squeezing the comb just felt really good. Yeah. I also had a spiky massage ball that I ended up using in the other hand, and both were, I just focused on that, and that kind of just meant that the pains weren't lasting as long. I could get through the contractions a little bit easier.
Yeah. And what were you doing with your mind? What were you thinking about or not thinking about?
The affirmations. So one of them was I could do anything for a minute. And it just so happened that when I was on the bed still, leaning over the bed, the one that they put up near the bed was, I can do anything for a minute. And I was like, that's quite fitting. And I also tell myself each contraction, this meant the baby was coming. So each one means the baby's getting closer. It's not going to last forever. They're on their way, kind of thing.
Yeah. The power of affirmations. Our mind, whilst a big part of our thinking mind goes offline in labour because we go into the more primal part of our brain, and the cortex layer needs to go offline because it can actually interfere with birth. But given that we tend to birth in quite overstimulating environments, whether it be bright lights, people coming in and out, partners who may or may not know what they're doing, all of that can influence the way a labour unfolds. And so that's what can actually sabotage the mind. So what we need to do with our mind is to harness it. It's like a wild horse. Put a harness on it and direct it towards focusing on things that are going to be constructive rather than destructive. So it sounds like you did that really well. So what happened then? You're in the bath?
I was in the bath. I was having, a few contractions. I remember Maddie was checking the Doppler at one stage. She said that she would check occasionally. I was like, that's fine. Brad was squeezing my hips, and then it was getting a bit more intense. And I said to Lindsay, can you see anything? Like, I was ready, which I'm assuming was transition. And she said, I can't see any head, but I can see other parts that are showing me. So I had to line up my buttocks, and just said the way that I was acting was changing. I thought that I was swearing quite a bit. I said to my husband, God, I was loud and making noises. And he's like, no, you weren't. And I was like, oh, okay, that's good. It must have been in my head, or I was a lot quieter than I thought. And then I remember at one stage, Maddie was trying to do the Doppler, and I don't know if I did, but I think I moved her away and just rolled over in the bath because I was leaning on my hands and knees in the bath, and I rolled over to my back. And I maybe had one or two more before I didn't really start pushing. It was more my body was doing it for me. And then once I felt the ring of fire is when I pushed and the little head came out. We didn't know what we were having this time. And I'm really lucky Lindsay shoved her phone under the water and filmed him coming out.
Oh, wow.
And coming up onto my chest. And he actually came out. As he came out, he burst his water. So he still had the sack on his head as he was brought up to my chest, which was pretty cool. And I brought him up and I said, "She's here." And my husband said, "It's a boy." Okay.
Did you not look, or did you just have a sense she was a girl? He was a girl.
I thought he was a girl. I kept going back and forth the whole pregnancy, but I think I thought he was going to be a girl just because we had Billy and I had all the stuff for a girl.
Would have been a bit more convenient.
Yeah. And so yes, then he was up on my chest and he cried, and he did have he had the cord around his neck, but it was fine. We just pulled that off when we sat there for a bit, and he was perfect, doing everything that he needed to do.
Wow. And what was that like for you? What did you experience when you met him for the first time?
Felt relief that he was out.
Yeah, no doubt.
It was really exciting not knowing this time to have him come up and find out that he was a boy. And he was just, I could see Logan in him straight away. So I just had that feeling of, oh, wow, like we've got another little boy. You're here, your brother all over.
Wow.
We got to meet you. So you were meant to be here because he was a surprise. When he came out, I was like, wow, you were always meant to be here, mate. Which is very exciting.
Beautiful. So what did you learn about yourself, Joss?
That I enjoy birth. I really enjoyed the experience.
Yeah.
I had a physiological third stage as well, which I hadn't had before, and that was amazing as well. And yeah, if I had the money and the means, I'd just keep having babies. But
I said that once. I said I'd have another baby in a heartbeat. I just wouldn't want to raise it. Yeah, so those lovely hormones make you a bit high. It sounds like you're still a bit high on them, are you?
Yes, he's great.
Yeah.
He's still in when I say easy stage, he's still in the twilight stage of we can just put him down and walk away.
Yeah.
He's not
Beautiful.
running after us. So
well, what birth wisdom would you give a pregnant woman?
That you can prepare for birth. It's not, you don't have to expect your body just to do it. There are things out there, tools, people, different things out there that can help you. I was very naive in my first birth that I was like, oh yeah, women are made to do this, which we are, but I didn't do any prep. I didn't do anything to help myself. So yeah, doing courses like yours, listening to podcasts, practicing your breathing, looking at the different options of birth that you want. If you can get the continuity, that's another big thing that I really loved.
Yeah.
Talk to people. Yeah, just do what you can to prepare yourself.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be scary.
That's beautiful. And I think you're right. Preparation is such a powerful way to help your mind come online and to counteract some of the fears and stories and TV and all the things that we're exposed to that can really diminish our confidence, but more importantly, cause tension on a subconscious level. And it's the subconscious mind, which is what dictates the birth process. So if we don't deal with the noise around us around birth and the comments and all of those things that can get in the way of us really feeling like we can do this, then those things can play out in the birth process. So preparation, understanding for your partner, what they can do, how to find comfort, how to think about the sensations of labour, not to think about them as pain. And I think the other big thing you mentioned there, Joss, is continuity of a known midwife. We know that makes a big difference to how a woman experiences birth. If she's got a relationship with her caregivers that follows her all the way through, even if birth gets tricky, even if it gets complicated, she's got somebody who she trusts, who she has a relationship with, who can help her navigate that path. So you've hit on some really powerful things that if we can get those ingredients right for most women, it's going to make a big difference to not just how they experience it, but how these babies land, because it's as much for the baby as it is for the mother.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say to our audience, Joss?
If you're pregnant, enjoy it. I wish I was you again.
Joss will put your hand up to give birth for you. You might have to be a surrogate, darling.
Do it that way. No, just, thanks for having me back. Birth is great, and what you're doing is amazing. I've told a few friends to do it, and everyone that's done the courses. I wish I had done it the first time round. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Well, it was that first birth that led you to find me and this type of preparation. And there's a lot of other great people like me out there doing some amazing work with women, because we do know that birth matters.
Yeah.
Big time. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We'll have some more goodness for you again next week. Bye for now. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please subscribe and share this podcast. This episode has been brought to you by Transform Parenting, an organisation that provides courses, coaching and community from pregnancy through to the first 7 years of a child's life. It is a place where you can learn, get support and grow into your role as a parent. Why not take advantage of a special gift for all pregnant women at transformyourbirth.com.au? Or if you have children, we have a gift for parents also.